What's up, Zachoids? Welcome to the new video. So after a recent surge in subscribers, I noticed that a lot of you are new developing emerging artists. Every Instagram follower has been scanned and analyzed, and every new YouTube subscriber has been sentenced. So I think it would be fun to give you all some old sage advice, things that I wish that I had learned when I was a young artist. And maybe we can get you out of that awkward anime digital circus FNAF OC phase, soaring right over the CalArts Undertale OC phase into your post-anime CalArts reconstruction era, where you find out what your own style is and you still have references to your awkward teen self. This video is going to be split into two types of advice. The first type is real, actionable, tangible goals that you could do right away. These are like simple art, quality of life tips. And then the next is like headspace mindset kind of vibe, like inner voice techniques, just like general philosophy about art. Also, the advice will ramp up from incredibly stupid simple to borderline pretentious nonsense. So there's something for every stage of artist here. All the way from a kid drawing Mira from K-pop Demon Hunters at the lunch table, trying really hard to hide their Miro Mabby comic underneath their drawing, all the way to arguing with convention vendors about how your table is too small and there's AI slop and 3D printed landfill garbage that's making way more money than you. You're probably using pencils wrong. Here's how I would suggest using pencils. Basically, I see a lot of beginner artists, they run into this oops, it's all fucked up problem. Basically, they have a lot of underlying drawings, and since they make a lot of mistakes because they're new, they have like a lot of, you can see the old drawings underneath their final drawing.
Are you sure?
And it just looks all muddy and messed up. The first step to fixing this problem is just getting better paper. I know buying better art supplies is tough for some people because shit be expensive sometimes. I would suggest getting like really heavy paper. Just look for this number when you're buying it. It's called the pound value. Going back to the pencils, this is how you should start using pencils. Start with the most dense pencils and go to the softest pencils. Every single pencil set that you'll ever see in an art store has just like a spectrum of pencils. And if you're ever wondering why there's more than one pencil type, they start from very dense, which are like hard pencils, obviously. Dense pencils allow you to lay down like really fine lines, and they're really easy to erase on smooth paper. And then soft pencils, they tend to stick around and they're really hard to erase, and they're usually darker. So you start with the dense pencils for the sketch, and you can be super loose with it because it's like really easy to erase. And then you move on to the pencils in the middle of the spectrum, like the H and the F, and you lay down your midtones and like all the middle values. And then obviously, I think you get the point. You go to like the B pencils, like the 2B, 4B, 8B pencils, and you lay down all your darkest values in like a layering system. And then, go in, clean it up with the eraser and add final details, and you too can make fun of billionaires and politicians with your drawings. Or you can draw some absolute Wonder Woman fan art. Up to you, bro. Okay, moving on to digital art real quick. Don't draw on a white canvas. I like to draw primarily on a neutral gray or a pastel yellow. Did you guys know that staring at a white screen for hours on end is not what your eyes were designed to do? Staring at a yellow screen for hours on end is also not what they were designed to do, but it makes it a little bit easier. Using gray and yellow, it's more than just like making it easier on your eyes. It's also like a color picking technique. Looking at white, you don't really get a lot of, it's just really hard to tell what colors are. You need to be able to see how colors interact with each other and not just like on a white background. Often I'll change the saturation or value of a color after I've changed the color of a background, because like the background color helped me realize that, oh, this is a little bit too dark, or all these colors are actually clashing. There is a science reason for this. I'm not going to pretend like I understand it perfectly, but it has something to do with the fact that your brain isn't really good at seeing color differences, but it is really good at seeing edges and contrast. On top of using more neutral tones, I like to spice it up a little bit, and you can just add some crazy deep saturation like green or red. Here's another quick tip. If you use the black background, you can sometimes see that there's like little transparency problems that you left when you were erasing things. Moving on to level 2 art tips. I hope you guys are paying attention. You need to learn how joints bend. And hear me out. You're probably like, duh, I know where arms bend. Right here and right here. And right here, I guess. Here, let me put it into perspective, and I'm just going to show you some diagrams. Here you have the human arm. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this, and it's bent at 90 degrees. I want you guys to guess which one is a correct representation of how the elbow joint works. Okay, trick question. They're both wrong. This is actually how it works. Why am I telling you this? Because you need to learn where skin will stretch and squish if you want to draw the human body. The knees are one that a lot of people get wrong. How the hand rotates on the end of the forearm is another one. I would say how the jaw opens as well. A lot of people get that wrong. And then another quick one. This doesn't really have to do with the skeleton as much as it has to do with like the rest of your face, but your eyes are inside your head. A lot of people draw the face as if it's one flat plane. Okay, my other camera died, so we're going to use the Photo Booth app as a second camera now. Whoa, ew, ew, ew. This is a pretty good second angle, I think. Art tips, am I right? Okay, what the hell was the next tip? Oh, shit. Whoa, we can move around the bulge. Pause. Put the fries in the bag, bro. Where was I? We're talking about bones, right. So basically you need to learn the scalenometry of the human body. You need to learn how everything like bends and collapses in on itself so that you can accurately portray it in your drawings, obviously. Quick tip about the skeleonomics of the human body. So the forearm is made of 2 bones, as many of you might know. I hope it's not a surprise. That would be a huge bombshell of a knowledge drop if you didn't know that. So basically they like cross over each other and allow your hand to rotate. And the tip I was going to give you is the only time that they're parallel is when your palm is facing your shoulder. So anytime in any position that your palm is facing your shoulder, the bones in your forearm are parallel. Any other time, they're crossed over each other. Another quick tip, color theory is real, and that's a really hard pill for some people to swallow. But it will make your art better, I promise you that. Study the color wheel, complementary colors, things like value, saturation, and temperature. Those are concepts that you really need to grasp. Real quick, value is basically light to dark. Saturation is pretty much dull to intense. And temperature is cool to warm. Trust me when I say this, you need to be doing your homework about color theory. And I want real homework, okay? I want you to be crying like when you were trying to learn math at the dinner table when you were 13 with your dad. Okay, level 3. I'm having too much fun with this MacBook now. Let's switch the effect. Okay, I think we're gonna go with this one. These are my headiest, most pretentious tips that I could possibly think of. Many people will tell you it's not the tools, it's the artist. I'm here to tell you sometimes it is the tools. It really depends on what your goals are. If your goal is to paint a giant 6 foot by 6 foot landscape, it would probably be really helpful if you didn't have paintbrushes that fall apart and leave bristles all over the canvas. It will help if you have higher quality paper and a broader spectrum of pencils if you're trying to draw hyper realistic portraits of celebrities on YouTube. Now, I can already tell this is like perfect bait for somebody to stitch a video where they're like, hey Zach, look, I made a giant drawing of a frost dragon using only coffee and the tip of a banana as a paintbrush. Not everyone is as locked in as you, bro. Most people would benefit from some simple quality of life improvements or just simple tool upgrades. You know, things like softer erasers that don't damage your paper when you're erasing. So in conclusion, like while on the whole, I understand what that like phrase is like supposed to mean. Getting a new tool does not mean that you're going to be more creative or a better artist, but we can't pretend like certain upgrades and techniques don't make things easier for most people. Could you make an award-winning documentary on Windows Movie Maker? Yeah, probably. Would your process be more efficient and would you have more creative liberties using DaVinci Resolve? Also, yeah. Just always do your research about your tools and see if you can upgrade them. Okay, next idea is a little bit big, so let's get serious for a minute here, guys. We're also going to switch the photo booth filter. I guarantee you many of you are tired of my large flat head. Let's go with squeeze. I think this one looks pretty good. The next idea is studying life is better than studying a specific artist or style. How do I draw like Kim Jung-gi? How do I edit like Emma Chamberlain? How do I use the photo booth app like Zacky Dak? If you are a beginner artist, it's important for you to understand like what's the end goal of this artist life and journey. In my opinion, while it is part of the process to emulate your favorite artists, I mean, I did that. Look at these. And it's inevitable. Everybody does it. Like you can't learn any other way. And those experiences as a young artist are really important, but You really do need to study the basics. Learn things like anatomy, perspective, lighting, color theory. It's only after you learn all these basics that you can kind of play with the form just like your favorite artists do. Imagine you start at the beginning of your art journey with the question, how do I paint like Basquiat? So let's say you buy all the same paints, you get the same canvases, brushes, you start emulating his style, and eventually you'll get to a point where you make things that are pretty similar to what he did. If we ignore the cultural faux pas of just like straight up copying artists for a second, the main issue that I'm really trying to touch on is that you will not be exercising true self-expression. You'll be exercising like a filtered, watered down version of someone else's self-expression. I want to see what you can create. I want to see new ideas, new styles, new artistic languages. That's like what it's all about. It's about dipping your toe in unknown waters and seeing if it's too cold or too hot. Experimenting with text families, mixing genres. Go out on the edge and find something new. If you're constantly striving for someone else's style, you will hit a wall. At some point, you just have to be you. And also, I'm not saying like don't make things in your favorite style. I think I was more trying to touch on the idea of like honing in on one specific style first, and also copying another artist's work first before you learn all the basics. And then also like I'm just trying to explain like what will happen at the end if you only focus on another artist's work or another style. Just be yourself, bro. I feel like I don't have to explain that much. That's not that controversial. Okay, on the topic of being yourself, my next idea is no one will understand your art in the same way that you understand it. Stop trying to explain everything to everyone all the time. First and foremost, you should be making art for art's sake. I do also have to quickly say that sometimes if someone doesn't understand your art, it could be an indication that you're not very good at it. Maybe you're just a bad writer, and like that idea that everyone was like, oh, I was expecting this at the end. Maybe you just wrote the scenes wrong. But that's a little bit more complicated, and I don't have a full video to explain all the little asterisks of this next idea. So we're just going to like brush over that real quick. Those kind of things are a little bit different than what I'm about to describe right now. So imagine there's a painting of a crying girl, and a viewer sees it and they're like, wow, this is so moving. It reminds me of when my horse died. And they have like an emotional response to it, and they just can't stop thinking about their childhood horse. But you as the artist, let's say the actual inspiration was you got a bad phone call and you didn't get the job that you wanted. And then the girl in the painting isn't even you. It's like a girl from high school that you had a crush on. But this is the beauty. The image itself has qualities outside of the artist's mind. It captures a sentiment, feeling, and like it evokes some state of being that we can all relate to. It makes really no difference if you explain the inspiration to the horse girl. The image in and of itself presents some pattern and representation of sadness, remorse, longing, guilt, repression. Each person brings their unique memories, opinions, likes and dislikes, history, humor to everything that they see. It is just futile to try and explain your perfect vision to every single viewer. You as the creator have this almost omniscient insight into your work. You know all the references, inspirations, you know all the punchlines, you know all the underlying themes of every sentence, you know every brushstroke. Everything comes from inside of you, and in a way it is you, which is another idea that we're not going to explain in this video. It is just impossible for everyone to experience your art in the way that you desired, predicted, or intended. What you should be worried about is crafting a valuable, interesting, and memorable experience. Like the minutia of the messaging can be figured out later. Obviously, there are some big asterisks that I will touch on real quick. I'm not saying don't add political or personal opinions into your art. That is like inevitable and often very valuable. I'm also not saying don't make explicitly political or like art that has an explicit message. Those can also be very valuable as well. What I am trying to say, I think, is after you are like 100% certain that you have presented your ideas in the best way that you can with all the tools available, then you don't really need to just go door to door and sit everyone down and try to convince them of your clear, perfect vision. Just let the proverbial cards fall proverbially where they proverbially will. Usually if someone doesn't get it, they just don't get it, and that's fine. Just move on. Throughout your entire life, like from the very beginning to the very end, you will have this struggle to balance your creative projects with your life. Teachers will try to get you to stop drawing on your desk. They'll tell you to focus more on your biology test instead of, you know, drawing Spider-Man on your Strathmore dollar store sketchbook. They'll tell you you need to pick a real job and avoid creative industries because they're too competitive or they don't pay well. Your parents will often echo the same sentiment, you know. They'll like secretly wish that you'll eventually give all this up and like get an engineering degree or something. Work will beat you down. All your waking hours will be spent commuting to your job, sitting at a job that you hate, and commuting back home. You'll be so tired by the time you get home that you won't even be able to open your pencil case. You won't be able to, you know, draw that comic that you were drawing on your desk when you were 10 years old. You'll feel doubt. You'll tell yourself all the time that, well, you'll try to justify that, or you'll lie to yourself even that, like, this is just a hobby, and it's nothing more. You can't make money from it, so you focus on your part-time job that you hate even more than your full-time job. Your mom is going to get sick. Your brother is going to get into a life-altering car accident. Your house is going to burn down. Your boyfriend is going to leave you. You're going to have to skip meals because you're too broke to buy food. But it is important that you don't let the flames die. You have to hold that torch tight against your chest and shield it from the wind. When your armor is tested, you have to run full force straight ahead and test your sword against others' armor. You have to grab your friends and pull them up from the flood. As long as you're breathing, you have a responsibility to guard that creative spark inside of you. We want to see that painting that you've always talked about. We want to read that novel that you keep telling yourself, oh, if I just had a couple weeks in the summertime next year, I'll get it done. We all want to hear that song about your breakup. We want you to make those things. We want to experience them. You have to be ruthless. This world wants to extract everything out of you. It's not built for people like who have creative interests right now. You have to have a unwavering willpower in the face of the dragons that are waiting to burn down your city. Because trust me, man, like, they are coming, and you have to be ready to fight for your art. And you have to make time for it. You can never stop. Never stop for anything that gets in your way. Don't stop for a system. Don't stop for weather. Don't stop for your health. You should be, with your dying breath, uttering your poetry. That's my greatest bit of advice. Okay, a little bit of hope core at the end of the video. We love that. If you like this video, please subscribe. And I'm really sorry it took me like 2 months to get a video out. Life stuff. But more videos this summer, more vlogs, more drawing videos. I will finish that video where I draw all your Dungeons & Dragons characters. I'm working on it right now. Okay, bye.